Hello and welcome to the Unleash Your Retirement podcast with your host, David Koren. I'm Wendy McConnell. Well, hello, David. How are you?
Great, Wendy. It's been a little while since we've put one of these together, but I'm
I
ready.
know I missed you.
I missed you too. And I know. And today, guess what? We have a guest, Jon Laaser. He's joining us today. He is the co-owner of Performance Pickleball here in the Richmond area. I know you're a pickleball player too. So
you didn't even warn me.
I actually sent you his bio. So
Yay, pickleball.
yeah. So we're talking pickleball today. And how do you think, well, what does that have to do with Unleash Your Retirement? Well, honestly, it is a wonderful sport for retirees to participate in because it's believe me, it's rigorous. It'll give you a workout.
Oh, yeah.
But there's is not as challenging or as damaging to your joints and so forth as some other sports might be. Certainly not as bad as running. It's a lot of fun and it's very social. So there's a lot of reasons that, I say, hey, retire so you can play more pickleball. So we love, my wife and I, as you know, play. And we're members at Performance Pickleball, and we love going there and playing in the indoors because it's an indoor facility. Now, Jon, I think you've got a phase 2 coming where you're going to be moving out some of that outside, right?
Yeah, that's right. We are just about to begin construction on phase 2, which will add 6 outdoor courts to our 12 that we have indoors, along with a second food and beverage concept.
And Jon he's been around sports all his life. He's been a broadcaster, from what I understand, or the voice of the Squirrels and a whole bunch of others around town. So he's been in the sports industry for a long time. What got you to decide hey, I want to start a indoor pickleball facility?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those tell God your plans and listen to him laugh stories. My wife, Renee, and I were living in Blacksburg, Virginia after our first stint in Richmond, as you mentioned, with the Flying Squirrels. But I had taken the job as the voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies, calling their football, basketball primarily, and some other things on the ACC network. And we were in that role for 7 years, right through the pandemic, and then another year on the other end. And I think, like a lot of people during the pandemic, the world got shaken up, literally. And we looked at ourselves at that time, me in my early 40s, her in her mid 30s, and said, this isn't necessarily where we want to be geographically, and it's not necessarily what we want to be spending our time on in terms of where our efforts were going and what they were benefiting. So to make a long story a little bit shorter, we decided to move back to Richmond, where we had a lot of community. It's where we had met the first time long before we were married, and I was still being paid through the portion that we had moved here. And I discovered pickleball actually through a friend of mine that used to pitch professionally for the Flying Squirrels and had met his wife in Short Pump. And he said, hey, we go play pickleball on Sundays at Pouncey Tract Park there in Short Pump, and it's intense. And I said, yeah, whatever, sounds like a nice bridge to brunch. But yeah, we'll meet you out there. And I got out there and immediately loved it. I played competitive tennis as a kid, and always really enjoyed table tennis and really anything paddle and racket sports, and just fell in love with it. And like I said, my schedule was very flexible at the time. So I just started hanging out at the park in the morning all the time with a lot of retarees and a lot of people that were older than me, and just had a blast getting to know them. And eventually met my now business partner, Lee Warfield, who's the president of Tallheimer, playing pickleball. One thing led to another. We were hosting tournaments as fundraisers for our nonprofit, Lasers Ladybug Society, that my wife and I founded. And had a lot of success in that area. And I caught his eye and impressed him. And he and I got together on a project he was already working on, which is now Performance at Regency, and kind of whittled it down to just the two of us and hit the accelerator on the construction phase and the innovation of all of it. And a little more than a year, here we are.
And you've got another facility in Roanoke now, I understand. So now you have to go back up towards Blacksburg.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So we do have the second facility, Performance Pickleball Roanoke, that opened in January of this year. So now just a little more than 3 months or 4 months at this point. But that's how pickleball is right now. It's a rapid race. I remember looking at Lee and saying, are you afraid to do a second one, when we were still in the infancy with the first one? And he said, I'm more afraid not to, as in if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it. So that's kind of the race feeling that we feel like we're in every day right now. now in a hot growth industry.
Yeah, we of course we joined Performance Pickleball last year when you could still join, because it's full now. You can't even join. It's you have to pay to just be there. People still do come in and can pay to play, but they're not members necessarily like we are, which is wonderful because I've played in the leagues and all that kind of stuff already. I actually have a duper rating.
There you go.
Which is not good. But,
well, that's in the eye of the beholder, David.
Well, like you, I played competitive tennis when I grew up. So I love having a racket in my hand. So I've taken to pickleball in a big way and really enjoy it. My wife never played tennis or anything competitively. So it's really new to her, but she enjoys it. I mean, anybody can play pickleball. I like to stress that because I see all styles out there, and I can tell when people have played racket or played tennis versus those who have not. It really is very noticeable. But the people who haven't played, if they've been playing pickleball a lot, they can still beat you. They can play really well. You can play with your own individual styles that you develop.
That's one of the great things about pickleball is you don't have to be athletic to learn the game and to get good at it. I was never really athletic my entire life. And I mean, I'm not good at it, but I play a lot.
Yeah, because it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's social. You meet people. It's a lot of fun. I started playing at Pouncy Track just like you did, which is a huge facility now because they just expanded. I think they've got 24 courts over there now here in Richmond. So the pickleball community in Richmond is growing and really is quite robust, actually, even compared to other cities that I've looked at. And my wife and I, when we travel, when we go to Florida, we play pickleball. When we go to Beaufort, we go play pickleball. In fact, we're looking at joining. They're building an indoor facility there that we're looking to join in that area. I have a house in Beaufort, so we go down there occasionally. But at any rate, we love the sport. It's a lot of fun. It's very social. Couples can do it together, and it's the most fun is when you're playing doubles. Not singles is a little more challenging. Okay, I have to admit. And I saw that you're playing tournaments. You're like a 4-5 and on your duper. And when we talked, so everybody gets maybe you should explain what a duper is so people understand what that acronym is and how you get that.
Yeah, duper is the dynamic universal pickleball rating. Like everything in pickleball, there was kind of a sprint and a war within pickleball to see what the established rating system was going to be. In golf, you've got the GIN, and of course, USTA has had it for tennis for decades now, and they've kind of won that race. And so now everyone's acclimating over to their app, and it essentially takes your match results in. It doesn't necessarily anymore just have to be tournaments or leagues. You can do it in structured just rec play, which is what we do most of the time anyway. But yeah, my rating is a 4-5. We just got done competing at the U.S. Open. It's very similar to the tennis rating system. If people are familiar with that, we're 5-0 and above is basically your professional player, whether that be a local pro or a national pro or a tour pro. But yeah, we were down in Florida and it was fascinating. We were in East Naples. They had 68 courts, just absolutely slammed. I think there was 4,000 players in the tournament.
Wow,
and it was
huge.
Just what was cool about it, like you guys were talking about, it was all ages, ton of retirees, in that area, of course, first and foremost, but all the way down, they had a youth division for the first time, and it was a bunch of 12-year-olds kind of mixing in with the 70-year-olds, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, we were in Sarasota earlier this year, and in February actually, and we go to the courts that we've been going to there, and I'm looking and there's all these Amish people playing. And I mean, they're playing without shoes, in their Amish dress, the long pants and the suspenders are on for the guys, and the girls have their bonnets, and they are all out there having a blast. And I was just like, as it turns out, Sarasota is a big vacation spot for the Amish people. They go down there. There's a lot down there. But they're in love with pickleball. They find it, I guess, a lot of fun, and I guess it was so funny because the elders are there and they're watching. They're watching all the younger people play the pickleball, and pickleball is also now I've noticed being picked up a lot on the collegiate and the high schools. So like at Pouncy Track, I was so funny. We were over there one time and they said somebody told us, yeah, you shouldn't come here at night because the teenagers. they're night owls. They don't sleep. They're nocturnal. So they don't show up until 8 o'clock or something. And I think the courts stay open until 11, or the lights stay on until 11 over there. So it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of community, and all levels of play, all across the board, which makes it so much fun. And again, retirees, this is a great sport that you can get your exercise in and have a blast in a few hours. Golf, if you play golf, that's a 4 or 5 hour event, right? Pickleball, you can be worn out in an hour and a half.
Or less.
Or less. That's right. If you play nonstop, you can be worn out. Because the great thing about the sociability of the pickleball, you can put your racket up at like Pouncy Track, and you're going to get to play with a variety of different people. You just go and it's wonderful because you have different matches with different people, different skill levels. Usually try and match up your skill level with who's out there if you can. Doesn't always work out that way, but you do your best to do that, John. I think, what do you think the future of pickleball is?
Yeah, I think that's the $1 million question, or actually $1 billion question, as this industry continues to just explode. But you mentioned Duper and also the collegiate level and the high school level. We have forged a relationship with Duper, where I've actually served as the voice of collegiate pickleball and have been traveling around the country doing the broadcast for their super regionals and the national tournament as well. So I think right now in pickleball, you're starting to see the industry leaders emerge out of a crowded field, as you do in any business. Of course, that's a high growth business right now. And that's been the challenge for a lot of people, because everyone has a vision as to what they think is in store for pickleball. And it's somewhat of a double-edged sword, where you want this growth. Obviously, you want profitability when you're in our industry, but you also don't want to lose the spirit, like you were talking about, of the public park and how we all got into it, and
Right.
and migrating into groups of people that you wouldn't normally be with. And we see that, and we try to massage that at Performance Pickleball, where it's still playing with a bunch of different people. We try to take some of the randomization out of it in terms of the skill rated structure, because I think you would agree, David and Wendy as well, pickleball is much more fun when you're playing someone that's at a similar level.
Absolutely.
When it's really lopsided, it's not fun for the better team and it's not fun for the worst team. Doesn't mean you can't have some fun, but we've taken some of that out. So I think the future of pickleball is a little bit more of that structure, while maintaining that park mentality. And I think you're going to see some outdoor private clubs that will take the model that we and a lot of other people have been adapting over the last couple of years and put it into normal play. And then beyond that, there's just going to be a lot more regulation, I hope, and just some of the balancing. There's just been, well, we do it this way in California and we do it this way in Texas. And, my Duper or my handicap doesn't travel necessarily from Virginia. We found that a lot. You mentioned it earlier, David, the pickleball community here in Richmond, for whatever reason, is so much more advanced and evolved than even hotbeds like Florida, where a 4-5 in Virginia, we go down and play in 4-5 events. And we're like, wow, this is what we would consider 4-0s. And I don't want to bore people like that, but
That's true.
Putting that systemic ability in place to have that balance and competition is the future, I believe. And the other side of that is having companies and brands such as RVA Wealth Management enter that pickleball world. We were one of the first people, I think, that realized the popularity had risen above the level of just pickleball specific companies wanting to sponsor and be involved. And that really catapulted us ahead in terms of what we were able to offer tournament wise. Now everyone's, of course, at that trough, but at the same time, I think it's just going to become more and more and more mainstream, more and more visible.
Right. And that's something that my firm has decided to, we actually are sponsoring a tournament that's coming up. And I'm doing promotions there at Performance Pickleball, because we recognize a couple of things. First of all, it's a growing sport. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, we participate in it. I've actually taken my whole team out to play. So we took it and we had lessons. We took my whole team into Performance Pickleball. We had lessons. It was a lot of fun. It was a company outing and we had a blast. And yeah, literally people that hadn't played pickleball before were able to play. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing that. But we recognize that the demographic, so from my perspective, I'm looking at it as a business person. The demographic there are a lot of retirees that play performance pickleball. And actually, I played in the league that I was in. We were playing with a lot of retirees because it was a morning league that I was involved in. One of the leagues. I was also involved in the 3-5 at night, and that was a different story. But that's how I got my duper rating, by the way. It was in the 3-5s. Everybody in the tournament, everybody there was 3-5 or higher, and I didn't really have a duper rating before. But hey, I won some matches.
There you go.
I had some fun.
Showed you belong.
Yeah. So it pulled me along. That's right. But we recognize as a business that this demographic is a great demographic, and I recognize that for people that are my clients or potential clients or just people in general out there, that this is a great way to stay healthy. I stress this for my retired clients, especially. You do not want to let your body go in retirement because it's real important to keep your health strong. I encourage walking. I encourage things like pickleball, things that keep your heart, get your heart rate up. And the great thing about pickleball, again, can't emphasize this enough, is that it's lots of fun and it's social. So, and that other aspect, that social aspect, is so important for retirees. I don't think people, because think about it this way: when people retire, they are not working anymore. Well, work often was their primary source of social activity. So where are they going to find that new social activity? It could be, maybe their church, yes, but where else? And pickleball is a great place to have that social contact and expansion, social expansion, again, because you're always meeting new people when you get to play pickleball. So to me, it just has a lot of pluses. It checks a lot of boxes. And that's why I decided as a firm, we should support it. And I may even look into playing in some of these tournaments so I can get my duper rating. My wife has no interest in playing the tournaments, but I would like to play. So I may be doing that in this next tournament that I'm sponsoring. So we'll see.
Oh, that's mandatory. We didn't tell you with the sponsorship.
That's fine.
You have to play.
I will. I'm up for it. I mean, because I know the tournaments you get placed with similar duper ratings. So I figure, okay, I have a feeling my duper rating's low, relatively speaking, to others. So I have a feeling when I play, I might be able to move it up a little bit. That's what I'm hoping anyway. But regardless, I'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's kind of the misconception. I think when people talk about tournaments, they think that it's this high-level players and that's it. But it's really not. It's all the way down to the 3.0 rating. Sometimes we'll even put 2.5 in, which is absolute beginners, just to give them the opportunity to play in that competitive setting. Because all the things that you said are absolutely true, David, in terms of remaining active, both physically, of course, but also socially. And one of the big drivers for me getting into this was I lost my father about 6 years ago. My mom, however, is still very healthy and active in her mid-70s. And, went through that period of grief and whatever else where didn't want necessarily to be out and about, just kind of wanted to be, by herself to deal with that loss. But then after a couple of years, she came to me and said, I'm lonely, John. I want to go out and make friends and the things you were talking about. And I said, well, you need to start playing pickleball.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, she was, intimidated by just walking out to the park at that age and, just saying, hey, I'm Debbie Laaser in this case. So I introduced her to a club in Minneapolis called Lucky Shots, and they couldn't have been nicer. And I got her an introductory lesson, and we've taken a lot of their modeling for that barrier of entry isn't always the physical nature. A lot of times it's the psychological nature.
Right.
So I think that's very important. And like you say, we appreciate your partnership first and foremost, and your membership and your kindness, because you guys are all those things. But you also notice that performance, like you said, that the demographics from our partners are all kind of no-brainers, as I like to say.
Right.
You got Ortho Virginia, and that was the easiest pitch ever. I'm like, listen, I'm hand delivering you clients every day. I don't want to, but it's the inevitable reality of the, an Atlantic Union Bank Neighbor Force, which is a nonprofit geared towards seniors and retirees, and on it goes. But there are just those natural fits.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the injury aspect again, because you brought up Ortho Virginia. One of the things that I always tell folks, and because it's true in any sport, especially if you're just getting back into it or being introduced for the first time, if you're super competitive and you're going for everything, not a good idea. If you're going back trying to hit overheads and you're backing up to do it in pickleball, you can get hurt, especially if you're, and I have to admit, I'm 67, so I'm no, spring chicken when I'm out there playing. I've learned, because I did back up one time. I'm using this as an example because it actually happened. I was backing up to hit an overhead, and I hit the overhead, and I won the point, but I hurt my back in the process. So I said, no, wait a minute. That was sort of silly of me. I didn't need to do that.
Right.
So what I do now is I will still hit overheads, but I'm not going to be backing up to do it. And I'm just like, well, it's just a game. I'll let that go. It was a great shot, great over. You hit a nice lob shot, got it over my head, and it landed in bounds. Because a lot of times I'm hitting the overheads that aren't going to land in bounds anyway. So might as well let them go back there.
Call that sacrificing the battle to win the war, David. I did that in the U.S. Open the other day.
Right.
Lady hit a lob over me. I'm like, it's 90 degrees. I think we're going to be better served if I don't sprint.
You don't sprint after that. That's right. So it really is about, just being mindful when you're out there about your own capabilities and not overdoing it, and recognizing that this is just a fun game. You're out there to play for fun. It's nice to win, but it doesn't hurt to lose. I've lost more than I've won, I would say, playing pickleball. And there's no problem with that. So, it's just part of the game. And that's what's so nice too. When you finish the games, everybody's up there at the net, tapping paddles and enjoyed it, and it's just the feedback and the camaraderie. It just feels good, right? Win or lose, it's a lot of fun. And people are just, and my wife loves to say, people are just so nice at pickleball court. She just loves how nice everybody is. And she feels like she can talk to anybody there, which she can. It's a lot of fun. And she's had a blast playing. So sometimes we don't play together the whole time because because I used to play tennis, there's a little difference in skill set, but she'll play separately, and she has a blast playing without me, because especially if she's more matched up with the ladies that are more in her skill set. And when we played in that league, we didn't play together because they separated us pretty quickly because of the differences. And she, because of that, she won a lot of games and had a blast because she wasn't having to play with me all the time, put up with my stuff. So.
Yeah, my pickleball partnership with my wife lasted about 1 week.
1 week.
And we vowed never to play with each other again because we exposed some problems.
We still play together because I've learned not to poach on her too much. Poaching, by the way, in pickleball is when you go over into the other court to take a shot that your partner could have easily hit, that you just feel like you got to get it because you're at the net, and anyway.
Gotta do that, David. That's sound mixed double strategy.
Yeah, well, you do that, and there are certain people that I don't like it a whole lot because you're supposed to be out there to have fun first, which is true. I try to remind myself of that too. That keeps me from poaching a little bit if I say, okay, I'm just out here to have fun. So, but yeah, I do love the game myself, as you can tell the way I'm talking about it. But it sounds like you do too, because you're playing a lot and you're representing. And by the way, I forgot that you were the voice of the Hokies for a while. I'm a Hokie person myself. So is Caleb. So we're a big Virginia Tech. We got 3 of us here that graduated from Virginia Tech, and all of us still follow the football and the basketball up there pretty regularly. So having been the voice of the Hokies, I'm real impressed. I'm going to have to shake your hand.
Well, no, I appreciate it, but I do enjoy pickleball. But I think what I enjoy the most about it is I was in sportscasting for 22 years extensively as my primary career, and now the secondary stuff with Duper, as I mentioned. But for all of those years, I got into it, of course, because I loved competing. I loved sports. I was that kid who played everything growing up, and for more than 2 decades, I didn't play. You went to the ballpark every day, but I can count on one hand how many times I picked up a ball or played catch. It was usually straight up to the booth. And to be the man or woman in the arena, as it were, even if the arena isn't as large as Lane Stadium, is pretty thrilling. It brings something back in my life that I didn't even realize I missed as much as I did from my teens and early 20s, the last time I was playing organized competitive sports.
Yeah, and it does make a difference. And since I'm sort of the same way. I played everything throughout school, competitive tennis, as I mentioned, but also I was a competitive golfer. I was on the football team. I was on the basketball team, all of that. So, I enjoyed all of that, and I do miss it, and so it does make a difference to have that opportunity to go back to these things. So
Let's not forget either that it's good for your memory and your mental health, because learning to keep that score, is very difficult in the beginning. And then you have to remember the score all the time.
yeah, my wife loves to say that's the harder part of this game is remembering how to score.
It is.
It is fun. There are certain players that you play with, you're like, you know what, they don't ever pay attention to the score. So you've got to remember it for them.
If you don't, that's right. There are, and I'm one of those. I'll forget. I'll lose track of the score out there as I get focused in the points and everything. So, yeah, you do have to pay attention to the score, and but once you get it down, it's not that difficult. It's
just remembering it. That's the hard part.
Just remembering who served last, right, and where are we, and what was that? Was it that quarter? This quarter? Oh yeah, it can be a lot of fun. Again, and that actually creates camaraderie on the court too. A lot of times, because everybody's like, I'm not sure, and we'll start laughing. So it's a lot of fun figuring those things out. So it is wonderful for your mind. It keeps you sharp. Good for your body, social activity. It is checks all the boxes as far as I'm concerned as a way to stay healthy and be healthy in retirement, but all the time. So it's because it's across the board, because it's young people. I love seeing the young people out there, unbelievably fast. Oh my gosh, I'm like, how did they get to? I was playing with my son who's 29, and somebody hit a lob over my head, and I turned around to look at it. Just going to land behind me. Yeah. Well, he came from the other side and got to it and hit it. Of course, he hit it right in my face because I'm standing there looking at the ball. And I could not believe that he got to it. And by the way, that was a high impact shot. He hit it right in my face.
Oh, no.
It did hurt, but I got to tell you something. It didn't hurt me. I mean, it just stung a little bit. That was about it.
Most times you get hit, it's from your partner. It's not from you.
Yeah. And people worry about, like my wife, where I don't want to be at the net because they're hitting the ball. Well, cover your eyes up, because it's not going to hurt you if the ball hits you. It's not. I mean, it might sting, but that's about it. So it's, again, not that dangerous. It's not a dangerous sport. It's a combination of ping pong and tennis. I mean, it's sort of a blend in between with a wiffle ball. Which is not going to fly that fast, although it can move pretty fast. It'll surprise you out there.
I don't know. I've been hit with a ball a couple of times, and it more than stung.
Well, it stings, but it leaves a red mark. But that's about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to knock you out or break anything, or cause you to bleed. So that's a good thing. Believe me, there are other sports where you get hit and it does that.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I can think of one in particular. It's called baseball.
Yeah.
At any rate, and believe me, a tennis ball hitting you full blast can leave a mark. So, at any rate, we won't. So, Jon, how do people get in touch with you, or tell us a little bit more about Performance Pickleball and how they can get on the waiting list there and et cetera. So let us know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Again, appreciate the partnership and the opportunity to talk to a different audience than we do on a regular basis, because we do have a lot more than just membership, and we do have the waiting list for our primary memberships. There are a couple of our nuanced memberships that are available. You can learn all about everything that we offer at our website, which is ppbrva.com, Performance Pickleball RVA.com. It'll also pop up if you just Google search Performance Pickleball. But beyond membership, really the big thing that we do, you mentioned it, David, you had the group out for a corporate outing, or a group outing as we call it. My wife is actually our events director, and we created Performance Pickleball in such a way that we can essentially accommodate anything. You've got a group of 4 or you've got a group of 8, fantastic. You want to play pickleball, that's great. You've never played pickleball, you want instruction, we can do that. Of course, we have the full food and beverage menu at Kitchen RVA with the catering options and birthday parties and all those different things. But then we can also scale all the way up to a 300-person business conference. We have the audiovisual capabilities with different audio zones and wireless capability, and really state-of-the-art stuff where we've had companies come in and bring their entire Q1 recap or retreat to our place. So really, big, small, anything in between, casual play, beginner play, instruction, competition. We go really top to bottom, young to old, and everything in between.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And If you want to get in touch with me and retire and play more pickleball, you can go to our website, rvawealthmanagement.com. You can click on and have a complimentary consultation, or just reach out and ask a 20-second Ask Any question where you can just get on and talk to an advisor and get a question answered. So feel free to reach out to us that way. And, I appreciate everybody listening, and play more pickleball.
All right. Thanks, guys, so much. And thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the Unleash Your Retirement podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.rvawealthmanagement.com or give us a call at 804-497-2100. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of RVA Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analysis of RVA Wealth Management. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, Private Client Services, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by RVA Wealth Management or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, RVA Wealth Management, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.